The final leg of our show this morning, and we will not leave until we talk about the politics. Now the House of Reps has promised and vowed actually to revisit the issues of devolution of powers. When it resumes plenary this month, it will be revisited or revisiting the issue of devolution of powers, an aspect of the Constitution amendment.
Well, both chambers of the National Assembly, during voting on the amendments to aspects of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution, rejected devolution of powers to the federating states. Some members of the House of Representatives who have spoken on the matter blamed the rejection on an oversight in lumping up various items under devolution of powers.
Now, the two chambers of the National Assembly considered 33 sections of the document slated for amendment in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Fourth Alteration Bill 2017. We have joining us political analyst. Here is our guest in our Abuja studio, Ebenezer Oyetakin. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Yes, indeed. Good to have you. Now, the fact that those who voted for devolution of powers in both chambers were actually in the minority, speaking of those who actually rejected that particular aspect. Majority of the House members, both the lower and the upper chamber, agreed to this devolution of powers, but yet did not scale through. I wonder what your take is on about this.
The mode of communication of intention is very germane to achieving the result. And most of the people that voted, what I think they voted against, rather than voting against devolution of power, is a vote against restructuring, the agitation for restructuring. That is what most of them thought they were voting against. And that is why somebody like Prince Tony Momo, for the past 1 decade, has been sending a kind of booklet to the two political conferences that were organized some times ago, both by Obasanjo and President Jonathan, to say, let's talk, let's discuss this Nigeria. Now we must put the quest for restructuring in perspectives. And I will want to put it in 3 perspectives here, saying that some of the people that are agitating for restructuring, they are doing it in such a way and portraying such a spirit that, look, this political regime that we have in place is not favoring us. They are calling for restructuring so that they can secure selfish political capital. That is one. And anybody who voted against that voted right. Secondly, there are people who want restructuring based on the spirit that the current structure that we have is not delivering services the way it ought to be. It is not delivering democratic dividends to our people as it ought to be. It is largely serving the interests of some fat cats in the system. And these people, they opined right. For them, it is a right thing to have a restructuring. That kind of a restructuring, we agree to it. Now let us look at it deeper again. Some certain things are necessary, but they are not expedient. Some certain things are expedient and they are not necessary. It has to do with timing. It has to do with timing. Then we ask ourselves, what do we actually need at this particular time in Nigeria? Is it restructuring or recovery? If a patient is sick and he needed a surgical operation, the doctor could examine him and say, look, we can't go into surgical operation because he can't receive it. Because you needed to fatten him up a little bit. He needed blood transfusion. He needed some level of recovery before we can carry out this operation. It could take a week or 3 weeks or even a month. That is the state Nigeria is today.
But
The
can
Nigerian
that
nation
recovery,
that is fighting
can that recovery happen without restructuring? Isn't that at the fundamentals of the poor state of the Nigerian polity?
You see, we cannot put the cart before the horse. The horse will always go before the cart. Now, the survival of Nigeria and the sovereignty of Nigeria is very, very germane and pertinent to our restructuring call for restructuring. We must make Nigeria recover and healthy in its status, in its strength. The bond of national unity must be strengthened before we can go into it, so that we can have that kind of a sublime spirit that dwell on patriotism, nationalism, and the services to the nation, the spirit of good services, qualitative services to the nation, before we can go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but then you have people that are saying that they have been marginalized. They are saying that they want to leave Nigeria because they are not given equal opportunity as some, that it is a kind of animal farm. Some animals are more equal than others. And you're saying that the first move is for unity. How do you unite people that are angry that they have been cheated?
Let me tell you this. Every part of Nigerians are marginalized. Every part of Nigerians are marginalized. But it is dangerous to tread the path of political jobbers, the path of businessmen in politics, in order to reconstruct a nation. We must tread the path of statesmanship. The path of statesmanship, not a path that dwelleth on electoral advantages in order to call for restructuring. That cannot serve the best interest of the Nigerian people and our collectives. Now, I talked about recovery rather than restructuring. I am not against restructuring, but I am saying the recovery must come first. We must recover a judiciary that has become over-politicized, a judiciary that is not serving the cause of justice, rather than that is probably serving the cause of political expediency and self-profiteering, rather than the cause of justice for which it is established. We must recover the police. The police that the United Nations has tagged as the most corrupt institution, followed by judiciary. We must recover the SSS. We must recover the military. We must recover paramountly the civil service. We must recover looted funds, looted Nigerian wealth, commonwealth. We must recover all of these things and then strengthen the capacity of our people to have access to good life.
Whose responsibility is it to do this recovery process? And does that person exist in isolation? Is the person not going to be a Nigerian? And of course, will the person not have baggages surrounding him?
Now we have a governmental structure in place. We have the National Assembly. We have the executive headed by the president. We have the judiciary. We have representatives of the legislature. We have representatives from various constituencies that made up Nigeria. We have the National Council of States meetings, and all of these are viable structure. The National Assembly, the National Council of State, the executive are viable structure because the people that are there, they are not alien. They are people we voted to represent us. So within the period of recovery, these people must keep on working like the executive. I am one of those advocates, vehement advocates, calling on Mr. President, declare a state of emergency in the judiciary. Let us have a judiciary that serves this cause of justice. Then declare a potent restructuring of remunerative remuneration and allowances of our national executive and government functionaries. The expensive nature
if I may come in, Oyetakin, because we don't have time.
Nigeria,
we hardly have time. The judiciary and every other sector of the Nigerian polity, the ailment that is going on in all of these sectors, some would tell you is as a result of the fractured structure of this country, that if we don't get the structure right, then we can hardly achieve much. Let's come back to the issue of the reps wanting to, revisit this debate over restructuring, specifically devolution. The Deputy Speaker of the House, Lasson Yusuf, said that the e-voting system may not, actually worked against the overall interest of what Nigerians stand for. And in the same breath, he said that that particular aspect of the bill did not scale through because Nigerians didn't show enough interest in that particular debate or the process of coming, getting to that point. It's almost contradictory because one would think that Nigerians have been shouting themselves hoarse that there is a need for this country to be restructured.
Well, like I said at the beginning, the agitation for restructuring has not been put in the right perspective. It has been largely a product of advocacy by those who thought the current political equation do not favor them politically, and they thought they can hide under the slogan of restructuring to create some certain earthquake that we ensure that political equation is altered in their favor so they can secure capital. This is the fear that is actually militating against the necessity for restructuring. The necessity for restructuring is there. I said it in one of the books I have just released to the nation in publication, Nigeria, a Giant in Search of Her Destiny. We must discuss our national unity. We must discuss the subject of our national unity. Yes, I have listened to Mr. President saying that the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable. I put that in context because I knew he is saying that if you think Nigeria can be divided or splitted, forget about it. It will never happen. That I agree with him 100%. But if you think we should talk to redefine how we should be relating with ourselves in love, in mutual understanding, in mutual respect, and how we can restructure so that we can devolve some little powers to the states, to the local government, that the dividends of governance can get straight to our people so that our people can live a qualitative life.
All right.
That one will continue to be a subject of discussions and negotiation.
Thank you very much.
This is where I stand.
Yeah, former President Olusegun Obasanjo said that what Nigeria needs is a restructuring of the mind. And of course, Ebenezer, political analyst, is saying that what Nigeria needs is recovery first before restructuring. Thank you for your analysis on TVC Breakfast today, Ebenezer Oyetakin. Thank you for joining us.